10,000 years ago, at the end of the Ice Age, a machine came to Earth from outer space and turned humans into mutants. A soldier named Nichidan united all the tribes and sealed this machine underground. Later, the descendants of Nichidan established a country in Eastern Europe and wrote the secret of the machine in the Sacred Chronicle. By 2707, people had forgotten about this machine, and the natural resources of the Earth had also been exhausted. The world is now controlled by 4 companies, and they are constantly fighting to control their own resources. In Europe, the Bauhaus Company is having a battle with the Reichstag Company. Their battle site is the area where the machine is buried. The commander of the Bauhaus, Steiner, ordered his men to use gunfire to attack the enemy, and the Reichstag commander, Nitzan, encouraged his team to be brave and not give up. But the morale of the Reichstag was extremely low because they had lost a large number of soldiers. The Mietzezung Company was collecting the names of the sacrificed soldiers. At that time, the Bauhaus sent a tank, and the Reichstag used a cannon to strike back. The explosion of the battle opened up the place where the machine was buried. The warehouse was also blown up, but no one noticed it. The Bauhaus troops used poison gas. A large number of soldiers of the Reichstag were poisoned. Soon, the soldiers of the Bauhaus broke into the warehouse of the Reichstag and killed no poisoned soldiers. Nietzsche was almost killed, but Nitzan shot the attacker in the last second and saved him. They didn't give up and began to counterattack quickly. There was another huge explosion. The top of the cave began to crack and collapse. A strange creature crawled out of the cave and struck a soldier closest to him. Soon, more mutants began to crawl out of the cave and attack the soldiers of the Reichstag. Most of the soldiers were soon eliminated. When the Bauhaus troops entered the area, they were surprised to see the bodies of the slaughtered, and the mutants also came in to attack them. At the same time, Nitzan and Nietzsche were quietly moving forward. They didn't know there were mutants, so when they found the bodies of their comrades, they thought it was the Bauhaus. In the end, Nitzan met Stena. They accused each other of causing the current situation. Suddenly, the two sides began to fight with swords. At this time, the soldiers of the two sides were surrounded, but the mutants kept coming out of the cave and killed every soldier they met. Nitzan and Stena noticed these monsters and agreed to join forces. Both armies fired at these creatures. Jason was seriously injured in the battle. Then, an evacuation plane arrived soon. So Nitzan went to distract the mutants. To cover everyone's safety and retreat, Nietzsche tried to bring Jason on the plane. He stared at Nitzan and was surrounded by monsters. After a while, the news of the release of the mutants spread to the Nietzsche monastery. The leader, Samuel, and a nun named Severian went to the secret chamber of the monastery to look into the history of the mutants. The book says that mutants can bring injured people to the machine and turn them into monsters. There is no army in the world that can defeat them, because they are too powerful. But the book also predicts that a selected person will be able to destroy the machine. Then, Samuel organized a meeting with 4 company leaders to discuss this matter. Mutants have taken over many big cities, so they proposed to evacuate humans to Mars. But Samuel pointed out that they didn't have enough spaceships for everyone to use, and the mutants might follow them. Samuel thinks a better plan is to send a team to the cave and destroy the machine, but the company leaders are still arguing and can't decide to reach an agreement. Under the attack of the mutants, the city life deteriorates day by day. The evacuation operation will begin soon, but not everyone can escape successfully. Monsters will kill any soldier who tries to protect people. If there is not enough evacuation vouchers, the family will be disbanded. Sometimes monsters will also successfully attack the evacuation boat. A leader told Samuel in private that he could not fly to Mars because of his poor health, but he was still determined to help. He gave Samuel his boat and evacuation tickets. In order to attract volunteers to carry out the task, Samuel left with the file and the mutants surrounded the leader. At the same time, Mickey went to see Nathan's family and told him that Nathan's wife collapsed and didn't know how to protect his daughter because they were not evacuated. Mickey tried to comfort him and made him feel useless. At night, Mickey went to a bar and got drunk. He put his teammate's name tag into the whiskey. At that time, Samuel found him and invited Mickey to join the mission. At first, Mickey refused, but when Samuel offered him a ticket, he changed his mind. The next day, Nathan's wife was preparing some poison in order to avoid becoming a mutant. Fortunately, Mickey arrived in time and gave him the ticket to help them escape. After a while, Samuel gathered a small team of brave soldiers to carry out the destruction mission. They have to go through an underground tunnel and use a special bomb in the center, but they're not sure if it's going to work. Samuel thinks that if the chosen ones are in the team, it will solve the problem. Then Stana took everyone to a cell that held mutants. Teach others how to kill him. Zephyrian showed how to kill mutants. And Stana made a list. As long as you aim at the correct position of the gun or arrow, you can kill them. When the mutants were dying, Mickey thought he had seen the creature return to humans for a second. Finally, the team collected weapons and supplies and was ready to go. Before boarding the plane, they received a set of holy swords. Everyone took the plane. During the flight, the team shared the story of them giving the plane ticket to their loved ones. Suddenly, they noticed that a private ship was coming to them. So they tried to contact them and ask them to change their course. But they didn't get an answer. It turns out that this private plane was hijacked by mutants. So the ship immediately fired at them. Unfortunately, they lost track of the enemy ship in the clouds. As a result, their ship was hit by mutants and caught on fire. The players ran to the escape pod, but the escape pod was stuck and could not be separated. The pilot was seriously injured and used his last breath to manually release the escape pod. But the space pod was too heavy, and the parachute soon broke. The space pod began to fall quickly. The team debated when to turn on the backup device. As a result, the space pod suddenly hit the building. Then the team opened the backup parachute. The space pod landed on the open field. In addition to the captain being injured by a huge shard, everyone else was fine. Mickey gave him a grenade. When these people walked away, the captain detonated the grenade. After a while, due to the presence of mutants in the city, they were able to move forward as carefully as possible. However, Mickey noticed that the evacuation progress here was not going well, because two soldiers asked for a huge amount of money to get people on board. Angry Mickey ran to confront the soldiers. In the midst of the quarrel, he killed one of the soldiers. The other soldier allowed every civilian to enter for free because he was afraid. Then, Mickey returned to the team. Stana scolded him for putting the mission in danger. Then, following the map in the book, the group of people continued to move forward. At night, they arrived at an abandoned church. According to the Chronicle, there is a secret tunnel below that can take them to the machine. They used ropes to descend from the roof into the church. This place has been transformed by mutants into their own religious base. Following the Chronicle, they crossed the underground tomb and finally found the lost top city. According to the book, the elevator will take them to the tunnel. This means that now they have to descend from the 60th floor. Then they built a stand at the top to provide cover for the elevator. Then they descended with fixed ropes. When they arrived at the place mentioned in the book, they didn't see any entrance. Samuel checked the book, but he slipped because of distraction. Mickey tried to catch him, but the chain was broken. Fortunately, Samuel was fine at a low altitude, but a large number of mutants appeared. Mickey jumped down to protect Samuel and closed the elevator door. When Stana heard the sound, she threw a grenade. Samuel took the grenade in time and threw it into the hole below to prevent his companions from getting hurt. The noise caused more mutants to appear. They fought with the mutants, but there were too many of them, so everyone ran to the next room. The mutants soon drove them into a dead end. At the top of the tower, Jin Woo fired a machine gun until the ammunition ran out. Then the mutants climbed into the elevator to attack him. Jin Woo fired and cut the rope, causing the elevator to fall. In the fight, he grabbed the mutants' arms and killed the mutants. At the bottom of the tower, the team was ready to use the sword, but the elevator fell. There was an explosion that killed most of the mutants. The team was ready to continue fighting until Jin's hand finally detonated a grenade and the battle was over. Everyone told Jin to calm down and move on. Samuel looked at the Chronicle again, which made Mickey very angry because he didn't understand what was so special about a book. Samuel told him to be confident and poured some water on the ground. The water fell from two small holes and eventually came out of the entrance to the tunnel. A group of people quickly passed through it and reached another room. They carefully walked along the edge of the wall. At the same time, the mutants were dragging the injured person onto the machine. Mickey was surprised to find that Nathan was also among the victims. Stana guessed that Mickey would want to save him and ordered him to stay, but Mickey still went. Stana wanted to shoot to stop him, but she didn't do it in the end. Mickey climbed down and sneaked around to shoot at the mutants. Finally, Nathan was rescued. Mickey took Nathan to a safe place. Nathan asked his family. Mickey told him they were on Mars. He knew that his wife and daughter were fine. He told Mickey to give up his mission. Mickey understood that his friend was in deep pain, so he decided to get rid of him. At the same time, other members of the team arrived at a narrow bridge. They had to cross the bridge as quietly as possible to avoid alarming the mutants under the bridge. Suddenly, a rock fell and Stana slipped and fell. Fortunately, he managed to hold on for the last second, but his scream was found by the mutants. Stana dropped the bomb to her teammates before she fell, and then she fell into the group of mutants. Stana shot herself. Samuel thought they should carry on with the mission, but the others refused and jumped in to help her. The team fought with the monsters, but there were too many mutants, and almost every member was seriously injured. Samuel was also killed. One of the bombs was also damaged. Then, the mutants dragged everyone to the machine. A few minutes later, Mickey arrived and found Jason's name tag. He was very shocked. Suddenly, he was attacked by a mutant. Due to Samuel's reminder, he killed the mutant very quickly. Stana was not caught because she was hiding. Then he told Mickey everything. Mickey collected the pieces of the book and asked him to read it, so that they would know where to go next. But Stana couldn't read it. She was just confident in him. Angry, Mickey decided to go to the camp no matter what. Then the two continued to move forward. Finally, they found the mutant nest and set off the bomb. Then they found their teammates being dragged to the machine. Mickey detonated the bomb and killed some mutants. Then Mickey rescued Wally and Stana. Then Mickey checked the hole in the camp center and found a strange device. There was a man lying on it. Obviously, this machine turned people into mutants. Seth and Wally tied themselves up with ropes and fell down to the center of the machine. Soon, the mutants began to break through the rock pile at the entrance. Stana let Mickey deal with the rope alone and then go to block the monster. After a battle, Stana detonated a grenade. She died with the mutants. Because Mickey couldn't pull the two independently, he was dragged to the edge of the pit and fell down. Fortunately, they landed safely, but Mickey fell on the machine and the device started to hold him down. The mechanical arm inserted all kinds of chips into his body, but Mickey kept avoiding the mechanical arm and pointing at the chip. The machine didn't fully transform Mickey, so Mickey took the opportunity to destroy the mechanical arm with a gun. Then Mickey and his teammates were ready to destroy the machine. His face began to mutate a little, but he didn't turn into a mutant. Finally, they arrived at the center of the machine. Mickey was preparing a bomb. Seth and Wally were responsible for the cover, but Mickey didn't know much about this device and didn't know how to destroy it, so he had to figure out what the book meant. When Seth saw the mutated Samuel approaching him, he stopped, but Samuel didn't recognize him anymore and started attacking him. On the other side, Wally killed another mutant, but he fell down and his body was cut in half by the rotating device. Mickey took his place and continued to fight the monster. At the same time, he urged Seth to kill Samuel, but he couldn't do that to his mentor. Samuel stabbed him. Then Samuel and Mickey began to fight. They hit each other a few times. Then Mickey tried to push Samuel to the ground and beat him hard. Samuel pushed him away. Mickey fell on the page of the book and a sword next to him. Suddenly he realized that the holy sword was the key, so he immediately stabbed Samuel with it and put it in the machine at the same time. The hatch on the ceiling opened and the structure began to shake. Samuel regained consciousness before his death and told Mickey to jump down. Mickey hesitated for a moment, jumped down, and fell into the underground river. Finally, he drove the spaceship to space and left the Earth.